Hey everyone, welcome to Great and Gather Barbecue. First episode. I wanted to do something kind of special, something simple for everyone. I don't know about you, but I try to barbecue normally, if we stick to the pork, isn't as healthy for you as like chicken. And so what I want to show is, because normally chicken breasts are just boring after a while. So I tried some boneless, skinless thighs about 1.5 years ago, and it changed my life. It literally has so much more flavor than just a breast, and so I kind of can mix it up, and we'll do chicken breast eventually on the channel, but today we're gonna stick to just the boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I do have 4 that have bone in, just because we're cooking for a lot of people tonight and I needed to buy some and I couldn't find the boneless ones. But we have 8 boneless ones, and that's really gonna be what we work with. And so they're simple. That's what this channel is going to be, more simple barbecue, stuff that you can do at home, whether it's more expensive grade meat or it might be just chicken. So the first step is to get some gloves. You got to be sanitary, and what you want to do is just, rather than just taking meat out of the package and throwing it onto the grate, I think it's really important to kind of inspect it. I think, a lot of times, especially being boneless, they had to actually take the bone out, and sometimes they're not as gentle, or they'll miss maybe a little piece of bone. And what you don't want, even for yourself, is to chomp into a chunk of bone or a sliver of bone, and especially you don't want your guest. And that's what this whole channel is about, is it goes from the grate to gathering of people. That's what good barbecue does, is it gathers people. So that's my first step, is I just start to go through, and there's fat on here that I trim off, but really I'm looking for chunks of bone. I'm feeling around, and like I said, there are spots of fat that if they're just excess, I'm not gonna have that. So we'll just kind of cut that off. This is kind of a chunkier piece of fat, and that's probably not going to render out too well. So I just, go through all of it's a little bit more work, but it is so worth it in the long run to have a chicken thigh that when someone bites into, that you've checked it. There's not going to be any surprises, or someone breaks their teeth on a chunk of bone. So that's what this first step is going to be. So we are just going to go through, get yourself a nice sharp knife, and take off any really big chunks of fat, and just flip it over and kind of feel around for some chunks of bone. So I'm going to get these all trimmed up, and then we are going to get to the seasoning parts. All right, so I got everything trimmed. I've gone through them to make sure there's no chunks of bone or anything just that you wouldn't want someone to eat. I have a pretty good fat pile right here. So I'm just going to throw this stuff away. And now we can get to seasoning them. So we're going to stick to a pretty simple seasoning today. Get them all lined up. Makes it a little easier. There we go. And for seasoning, what I like to do is keep one hand clean, which means I'm going to go throw this glove away. And then you have a hand that can pick up, and then you have a hand that can actually run the seasonings at that point. So today we're just going to stick to a SPG. That's just a salt, pepper, garlic base rub. And then we're going to come back through with it's called Dirty Bird. So it's a chicken rub from Cosmos. I just got this stuff, so I'm not sure how it's going to taste, but it smells fantastic. So shake your stuff before, and then just a nice, kind of like a back and forth. I've heard kind of like a typewriter. This is just a base one. So what I like to do is kind of like press it down to make sure it has stuck to the meat. And then we'll come back through with our second rub. This is just called layering. We're just layering our rub. So before I try to flip them, I'm going to press the rub into the meat just so it sticks a little bit better. And then now we can flip them over and do the back. And then it'll be ready for the smoker. So these boneless thighs still have quite a bit of fat in them, which is what gives you your flavor. And that's probably why they're so much better taste-wise than breast to me. But you'll see these still have quite a bit of fat in them. And now the second layer. So now that we have them seasoned, I have the smoker warming at 225 degrees. So this is where chicken gets a little difficult when it comes to smoking. If you do low and slow the whole time, chicken's gonna come out pretty rubbery. It just doesn't have the fat that pork has. Or anything like that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put some smoke in it just for probably a half hour or so. We're going to let the temp come up to around 120 degrees, probably 120, 125. And then I'm going to crank the grill up to 350 probably. And then that way it gets some smoke flavor into it. And then the skin will start to actually tighten back up, and it won't be so rubbery at that point. But these thighs, you really want to take them. Chicken at 165, they say, but the thighs and the darker meat, you actually can take to like 175, 180, and actually it's even better. The further I've gone, the better it's been actually. But I've never gone over 200, so I don't know how it would be at a point. But we're actually going to take these further than 165 degrees. So that way, for about 50-ish degrees, maybe 60 degrees, it will be at a higher temperature. The skin will be a lot less rubbery, and a lot of flavor will be coming out. So I'll see you at the grill. All right, guys, so we are back at the smoker. It is pre-warmed at 225 degrees, so a lot more smoke's going to be coming out of this right now. Once you get beyond 275, you're starting to get on the end of a pellet smoker at that point. 290, you're kind of out of the smoke. So what we want is smoke. So we're going to do 225, and then we're going to do it up to 125 degrees. And so that's where this is so important. You're going to hear me every video talk about temperature monitoring. It's so important, but there's different ways. They have pins that you can just stick right in, but it's really, really foolish to not have a way to monitor your temps. That's the gold. I mean, when you're doing a brisket, when you're doing chicken thighs is still important. Luckily, there's a lot more brace with the chicken thigh, whereas a breast, once you get into those 180 temps, a breast is like dry and no one's gonna want it. So invest in some type of monitoring system. I have one that it has a few probes, but you want to be able to monitor it the whole time. And if you just want to buy a cheap $20 pin, just every 20 minutes, open it up, stick the meat to see exactly where it is. But temperature control is so important. You can lose a cut of meat and waste all the time and the effort and even the money. Chicken thighs aren't a lot of money, but once you get into the bigger stuff that hopefully we get to do, it can ruin meat really fast if you let it overcook, or if you undercook, then you're hurting people. So, or potentially putting people at harm. So what we're gonna do now is just open this, pull out the grate. It's kind of warm. And don't mind the dogs in the background. We're just gonna lay them out. We're gonna flip them actually probably about halfway through. So it doesn't really matter which side is which right now. And then now we're gonna put our probes in. So basically just find, you can tell the bone-in ones are thicker. I'm gonna put one in a bone-in and then one just over here. Just barely stick it in. You wanna try and get the coldest parts of the meat. So you just wanna get like halfway in, halfway through the piece of meat. All right guys, so they are reading about 125 to 130. They both kind of leveled off, the bone-in and the boneless. They're both within 5 degrees, so I've just kept them. I did turn them, if you want to see it. So that's why it looks a little different. They are upside down from what they were. So now all we're gonna do is crank up the grill, 350. All right, guys, so the temperatures are saying that they're in that between 170 and 180-ish. So just to confirm that, that is when your handy dandy hand one, you can go in, stick it in, just to confirm 180. And they're gonna be between the 180s. So 170, some of them are a little bit more. So we brought these ones up a little bit higher. So you'll get to see how juicy they are though. So we'll see you inside. All right, so we have pulled them off. They're within the 175 to really even 195. So we really kind of stretch these ones out. The smaller ones are gonna cook a little bit more. But like I said, there's a lot of grace with these thighs because there's a lot of fat in them. They're dark meat. So yeah, we're gonna cut them open. We're gonna see exactly what they look like. We've let them rest for about 10 minutes. Really important part of barbecue. It's the hardest part of barbecue. These are only 10 minutes, but wait till you get to a pork butt, which needs to rest minimum 1 hour, or a brisket, an hour. So the rest part is so important when it comes to barbecue. Here, we take these meats all the way up. Those are the dogs in the background. Don't worry, you'll get used to them in the channel. But you take these meats up, and then when you let them rest, it just lets the juices and the fats just go back into the meats and make it really more juicy. If you cut a meat open, as soon as you take it off the grill, maybe you've seen this, all the juices just run out everywhere, and that's your flavor. So we're gonna cut open and see exactly what this looks like. So still very juicy. I mean, you can see it just literally running out. It's dripping basically. It is so juicy. So yeah, it is a very good piece of chicken. This isn't a breast, and it tastes so much better. So if you are tired of chicken breast, try this out. It's an easy one. Like I said, we kept it on lower temperature. Maybe you don't have a smoker, just keep it at a lower temperature. Maybe buy one of those smoke tubes to get a little bit of smoke into it, and then the goal is just to turn it up to 350 and then take it to at least 175, but all the way up to 190 even is going to be okay, because these look delicious. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about these. All right, so now the best part about barbecue in general. I said earlier, barbecue brings people together, and that's why I called it From the Great. This chicken is now going to gather our people. So now we get to enjoy it. Thanks for watching my first video, and we're gonna enjoy it now. See ya.